Welcome to another edition of The Local Beings. Today we have William Skannerup, and he's going to talk a little bit about what he's working on and, again, what inspired him to do it.
So currently I'm working on an app called Gentoo. To sum it up, we're pretty much building the smart contact book. The idea behind it came from going to various different conferences and always leaving the conference with a ton of business cards. Now, what you have to do then is manually input into your contact book, and over time people change telephone numbers and email addresses, and all the information and all that time you spent to actually put it in, now you have to manually update it. And I thought to myself, there must be an easier way of first sharing contact information, but secondly also keeping it updated. That's kind of where Gentoo came in. So instead of creating a profile for each new contact you have, you create one profile, which is your profile, and you add your telephone number and email address to it, but also you add social media such as your Twitter account or LinkedIn or Snapchat or Tumblr, whichever social medias you use, and you share it with one click. Came from a personal necessity and an annoyance with how we've digitalized everything from fitness to banking, but not actually how we keep in touch with contact information.
It's hard to find the bigger kind of disruptive type apps. And so when we're coming up with ideas, we always ask ourselves, what kind of new market is this creating? And then also what part of my day and what problem is it solving? And so I've gone as far as taking an entire catalog of my day from the moment I open my eyes and writing down every single thing I do. And then asking myself, is there something here, right? So when I wake up, I take the covers off me. How are the covers? Am I too warm? Am I too hot? Is there anything there? All the way to brushing my teeth, to turning on the hot water, to is the temperature right in the house? And no, that's already been taken by those cool guys that made the thermometer thing. It's you have to you walk yourself through that entire day and think about, are there any pain points there?
I think right now is one of the best times to actually come up with a new idea, because you're no longer a forerunner, you're no longer someone who's trying to break through the market or introduce people to this idea of a company that is trying to make money off thin air, which is the internet. So I think now people have an understanding for startups, and people have an understanding for tech companies, and I thought to myself, at this point it is a solid time to expand, and if not now, then when?
It reminds me of a point that Jack Dorsey once said, the hardest thing to do is start. You said how it was a necessity that you found for yourself.
Definitely.
What inspired you to then take this to a level where you think, I can give this to other people, this would be useful for others?
Definitely.
And how did you begin?
So, having worked in the technology industry, you get a lot of exposure to different companies of all sizes, from corporate companies with tens of thousands of employees to smaller companies of 30 and 40 size. There's something very inert that is unique and the same with each company. And I think once you've spoken to enough people, you kind of begin seeing, you discuss the idea, you throw it into conversation, you say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we had an easier way of sharing contact information, or wouldn't it be an easier way of updating it? And people begin agreeing with you, and once you get enough kind of feedback, positive feedback, the idea kind of sprouts, and it gets to a point where you just want to break out, and you're just like, well, no, I need to go and do this. I need to try. And what's the worst that can happen from trying? You give it a shot. If it works out, it's great, but if it doesn't, you've learned a lot from the process that will feed right back into your career.
But it is generally true that innovation comes from questioning the way things have been done before.
Yeah.
And if in the education system you're taught not to do that, that will inhibit entrepreneurship. Being able to question what you're being taught, being able to... Yeah, I mean, just, saying, well, is there a better way?
Yeah.
To ask that question.
Yeah.
Did you ever doubt yourself along the way? And, from early stages to where you reach now, how did you keep yourself going?
100%. I almost doubt myself every 2 or 3 days. I think the difficulties with a startup is that, unlike other traditional businesses, there's no real business plan. There's no road or path that's been paved for you to follow. Especially if you're trying to build something that doesn't exist, you're really paving it as you go. And this means that sometimes you get to a crossroad where you have to make a decision, or you have to figure out what the next brick in the road is. And that's when you begin doubting yourself, where you go, is this the right decision? Is this the right thing I'm doing? And the only thing you can do is just kind of go for it. And if you make a mistake, take 3 steps back and then take another path.
There's a friend of mine who's got a great saying about creating a company, which is trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. So, I mean, what tends to happen is it's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company, and then reality sets in, things don't go as well as planned, customers aren't signing up, the technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought. So, but I would definitely advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of quite high difficulty. But I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, like if they stay focused on that, then if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will.
What I've experienced from going to a lot of events, a lot of startup events in London, is that a lot of people have ideas, but they're scared of sharing it with others. And what I did right from the get-go, even before I had a mock-up or really knew what I was doing, I shared my idea. And that is probably the most critical and important thing I did. Because by sharing it, you get feedback. You also get positive reinforcement saying that, you know, this is the right path, this is a good thing to do. And that's what keeps me going. From all these different events where I've spoken to people, made connections, where I've publicly presented the platform, that feedback is only growing up and up and up. And I'm getting kind of focused down the right path more and more. And that is what is the driving force. If I didn't have that, I would probably have, you know, dropped the project long ago.
Would you say there's been someone who stands out that you've always, you know, been inspired by?
Oh yeah, Elon Musk. I'm in awe of what he's been able to do. You know, first of all, he created PayPal. Well, it's one of them to help create PayPal, which has just changed the way it brought e-commerce into a whole new stratosphere. And after that, you know, if you've read the story about Elon Musk, he went for Tesla, he put everything he had behind it, and he really believed in this idea and pushed it right to the limit, and see where it is today. He's not only become a successful entrepreneur through, you know, becoming a billionaire himself, but he's done it with a social conscience. He's done it for humanity, he's done it for the community, he's built businesses that help everyone, and for that, I mean, hands down, biggest inspiration of all time.
I mean, it seems like you've clocked onto something that could really work here, and I think it's making good progress. What would be your advice to someone who either has an idea or, you know, they've come up with a necessity and they're thinking about, oh, maybe I can make this bigger?
Go to events. Just join. You don't even have to speak, you don't have to introduce yourself, but listen to others. Listen to what they have been through, how they present themselves, who they're talking to, and once we begin feeling comfortable, share your idea with them, because they are your number one resource. They will give you honest and critical feedback, saying that your idea will not work, you should reiterate it this way, or saying your idea is brilliant, you should really pursue it. So that's my one resource. Share it with people at events. Just go out and meet as many people as you can.